Imagine trying to navigate a new city using a map from 10 years ago. It still looks familiar, same streets, same landmarks, same sense of direction, but when you start walking, you realise things don't line up. Shops have closed, roads have been rerouted, new neighbourhoods have emerged, and suddenly, what was once a clear route to your destination just doesn't work anymore. That's where many brands and marketers are right now with social media. We're using a model that was built for a different world, a world where people browsed chronologically, actively engaged brand pages, and shared campaign content accordingly, all in a tidy, logical way. But here's the truth. Social media isn't what it was 5 years ago. It's no longer about networking, it's entertainment. It's not about showing up, it's about standing out. The algorithms have changed, and so people's expectations have changed. So, shouldn't your strategy? The old linear marketing funnel of awareness, consideration, conversion was a model built for straightforward journeys. It worked in media environments where attention was more easily captive and where storytelling was easier to control. But social media has undergone a transformation. It's no longer linear. It's a whirlwind of feeds, formats, creators, algorithms, distractions, and crucially, choices. People don't follow a neat funnel anymore. They dip in, they scroll past, they get influenced, they forget, and they remember later, if you're lucky. Today, social is fragmented, fast, unpredictable. People are scrolling at speed. They're jumping between creators, platforms, moods. They're not progressing down a funnel, they're bouncing between micro moments. And yet, we're still planning like it's 2020. Today, we want to introduce you to a new way of thinking about the social funnel. One that reflects how people now use these platforms in 2025. We need to stop shouting into the void and start designing for attention, remembering being seen doesn't mean being noticed. Relationship, remembering that one view doesn't build trust. Conversion, remembering that the moment someone decides to buy rarely happens during your ad. We're now operating in a social environment where reach alone is no longer reach, and impressions alone don't mean impact. That shift from linear thinking to more fluid arc has profound implications for how we buy media, how we create content, and how we set KPIs that move the needle. In the next 15 minutes, we'll walk you through this new framework and give you the tools to bring it into your planning, whether you're setting annual strategy or building your next campaign brief. Let's dive in.
If the traditional funnel no longer applies, what replaces it? We believe the future of social strategy lies in a new model, one that doesn't assume people are calmly walking step by step towards your brand, but instead acknowledges the chaos, the culture, and the constant churn of the social feed. This is why we need a new way of thinking, a new model that reflects the real, messy, emotional, unpredictable journey people take when they're on social. We call it attention, relationship, conversion, or ARC for short. It's not a funnel, it's a cycle. It meets people where they are, not where we hope they are. So let's break it down. The first stage is attention. If you don't get noticed, nothing else matters. This is the first hurdle and the most brutal one, because people scroll fast and you only get one shot to stop them. Social is full of noise. On average, a person sees over 3,000 ads a week. Most of them are in social. So your job isn't just to be present, it's to be interesting, to earn a moment of attention. That means creating things that are bold, surprising, emotionally engaging. Things that feel native to the feed, not polished corporate ads people are trained to skip. You want to stop the scroll. You want to create a memory. That's the role of attention. Start the relationship. Stage 2 is influence. If attention is what gets you in, relationship and influence is what gets you remembered. Once you've got someone's attention, the next step is to build connection, to create affinity, to shift how people think and feel about your brand. This doesn't happen with a one-off ad, it happens with repetition, relevance, and storytelling over time. It happens when your brand starts to show up in people's worlds in ways that feel natural, human, and trustworthy. This is where content from creators shine. or when your brand joins a trend or shares something genuinely useful or entertaining. It's not about telling people why your product is great, it's about showing up in ways that makes them believe it. Relationship is what turns casual interest into long-term preference. The final stage, stage 3, is conversion. Most people don't decide to buy while watching your ad. They decide later, when they face a need in their own lives. And so, the conversion stage is where reminders are critically important. This isn't about storytelling, it's about repetition, consistency, nudging someone just before they make a decision. Think of it as the final prompt before someone chooses what runners to buy, or the logo they saw 6 times in the past week without even realizing it. Reminding works best when it's simple, punchy visuals, something someone can absorb in a second or two. And here's the real power of this stage. It doesn't try to change someone's mind. It just helps them what they already believe. So that's the new model. Attention gets you noticed, relationships builds trust, conversion drives action. They don't happen in a perfect order. People might bounce between them. Some may need all 3, others may need a nudge, and that's okay. The point is, each stage does a different job. And when you build your social plan around these stages and not around a funnel, you start to get results that match how people actually behave. This is the shift that separates forgettable content from memorable brands. This new model requires us to rethink some of the things or ways of doing things we have become accustomed to over the years. The first is that reach buys don't necessarily deliver reach. The second is that video is critical, but not necessarily in the way that we think it is. And lastly, that now more than ever, media and creative must be integrated.
Let's look at each of these in a little more detail to understand why we need to change our approach to these 3 areas. Let's start with reach, because this one trips people up the most. For years, reach has been a comfort blanket for marketers. It sounds reassuring, it looks great on a slide, it's easy to buy, and it gives you a big number to show internally. But here's the problem. Reach on paper isn't reach in practice. Just because your ad was served to someone doesn't mean it reached them in any meaningful way. In fact, when we look at the data, most ads on social are seen for less than 2.5 seconds, some never even making it onto the screen before someone scrolls past. That's not attention, that's background noise. It's a bit like putting your ad on a billboard behind a tree. Technically it's there, but no one really sees it. Now that's not to say that reach is useless. It has its place. Particularly in the conversion stage of the funnel, where reminding people is so important. But the key is this, not all reach is equal. It only works if the creative is built for the format, if the message is designed to land quickly, and if it's used in the right context. Otherwise, you're just burning budget on being ignored. Let's now move to video, because no one doubts that video is important. It's emotionally rich, it's dynamic, and it can do things that static content just can't. But too often we see brands treating video like a one-size-fits-all solution. They take a beautiful TV ad, trim it down, stick it on Instagram, and wonder why it flops. The problem isn't the video, the problem is the wrong kind of video. Social video isn't about high production value. It's about relevance. It's about being native to the platform. It's about the first 3 seconds, and it's about reframing how stories are told in a social environment. Some of the most effective videos right now are lo-fi, shot on phones, made by creators, built for vertical screens. They don't scream ad, they feel like content you'd want to watch anyway. This is what we mean when we say you need video, but not as you know it. Because on social, your audience isn't sitting down with a bowl of popcorn. They're half watching while cooking dinner or waiting for a train. You have to earn their attention, and fast. And that means rethinking how you plan, brief, and build for video in the first place. And finally, the most important shift of all. Media and creative can no longer be separate conversations. In the past, media and creative often lived in silos. The creative team made the ad, the video team figured out where to put it, and we hoped the two would somehow sync up. But in today's environment, that's a luxury advertisers can't afford. As a full solution agency, we are uniquely positioned to understand the challenges of the platform. We know the media reality of the 2.5 seconds, but we also have the creative capability to design better solutions. And we can do that in a personalised way at scale because of our AI-powered dynamic creative offering. And that's important because every stage of the new funnel you've just outlined, attention, relationship, and conversion, requires a different approach. Different tactics, different content, different expectations. If the creative doesn't match the media strategy, your campaign falls flat. If your media plan doesn't reflect what the content can deliver, it underperforms. So we need to flip the process. First, define the objective. Then choose the format that delivers that. And finally, design the creative that fits that format. This is how you get alignment. This is how you avoid waste. This is how you make social work the way it has always meant to. Because today, the most successful brands aren't just great at buying media or creating content, they're great at connecting the two.
So, in concluding this webinar, let's take a step back. Social media has changed massively, and we've been trying to navigate it using maps that no longer apply. But there's a better way, a smarter, more intuitive way. It starts by reimagining the funnel from awareness, consideration, conversion, to attention, relationship, conversion. This simple shift unlocks a new level of clarity in how you plan, how you brief, and how you measure. But for that to work, you also need to rethink 3 key habits. Stop assuming reach buys deliver real reach. Start building video for the feed, not just for the brand. And never again separate your media and creative conversations. Because this isn't about running social campaigns. It's about understanding the social mindset. It's about designing for the way people actually experience content today. Fast, fragmented, emotional, unpredictable. That's the challenge, but it's also the opportunity. When you align your strategy to how people really behave, everything works harder. The media, the creative, the budget, the brand. And that's when you stop being part of the noise and start becoming part of culture.